from the CyberHub bunker and studio, you're tuning in to the CyberHub Podcast. And now for your host and CISO, James Azar.
Well, everyone, good morning and welcome. Our first show in the last few days. I've been traveling. Unfortunately, I had made plans to record the show. So let me just start off with that. One, I apologize. We missed Tuesday, which, I told you Monday we weren't going to do a show because of the Passover holiday. On Tuesday, we were supposed to record. And in fact, we were scheduled to record in Jerusalem. Unfortunately, the security situation in Jerusalem did not allow us to actually make it up there safely and be able to return from our site of recording. And throughout that whole day, just trying to work it out, we ended up postponing that recording. And it's very, very disappointing. We had a really cool show planned on Tuesday from Jerusalem. And unfortunately, we couldn't pull it through because of the security situation going on in the city at that time. So I apologize, but I'm back in the studio, ready to go, ready to kick it off. Today's Thursday, April 21st. Tomorrow I'll be doing another special show, kind of like a lessons learned from Israel, and just some things I want to talk about, get your opinion on. That will be a live show, so make sure you tune in tomorrow. You don't want to miss it. So let's get into what's going on in the world of cybersecurity. It's been a really, really busy week, a lot of things going on, so we're going to get into all of that and more on today's show. But before we do, while in Israel, I shopped a lot for espressos. I did. So many espressos. In fact, I think I had one suitcase, like one of my carry-on bags was just filled with espresso capsules, because like all places in Israel, like this, like, how you go down, like if you go to a Publix, like the coffee aisle is just like half an aisle and it's got everything. Well, the espresso aisle is the same in Israel, right? Like the coffee aisle is like two little like scared shelves of just like, here's some coffee, and then everything else is espresso. So it was so much cheaper though. Like it was the one thing. Israel's a very expensive country, but like the espresso capsules were like so much cheaper than the US. It was fascinating. So I bought so much. I'm trying my Lavazza blend today. I've got plenty more. So over the next month or so, you guys can try it out. Coffee cup cheers. Also, I'd be remiss. Came home. There's a box waiting for me from my friends over at the Whole Human Cyber Initiative. This is the Cyber Cowboy Coffee Blend. Go check it out. Shout out to Paul Cummings and the team for sending these over. I've got a bunch on the set right behind me, right over there. And this one right here, the Cyber Cowboy. Go get it. Whole Human Cyber Initiative, bringing out cyber coffee. I've actually, to the better detriment of my own good, I've bought a coffee machine from Amazon yesterday so I can try this. So there you go. All right. 6 minutes into the show, we haven't talked cyber. Let's do that right now. So a critical chipset bug opens millions of Android devices to remote spying. 3 security vulnerabilities have been disclosed in the audio decoders of Qualcomm and MediaTek chips that, if unresolved, could allow an adversary to remotely gain access to media and audio conversations from different affected mobile devices. The impact of the RCE vulnerability can range from malware execution to an attacker gaining control over a username's multimedia data, including streaming from a compromised machine's camera. In addition, an unprivileged Android app could use these vulnerabilities to escalate its privileges and gain access to the media data in user conversations. These vulnerabilities are rooted in the audio coding format originally developed and open sourced by Apple in 2011, called the Apple Lossless Audio Code, or ALAC, or Apple Lossless. The audio codec format is used for lossless data compression of digital music. Since then, several third-party vendors, including Qualcomm and MediaTek, have incorporated the Apple-supplied reference audio codec implementation as the basis for their own audio decoders. And while Apple has consistently patched and remediated security flaws in its proprietary version of ALAC, the open-source variant of the codec has not received a single update since it was uploaded to GitHub 11 years ago. So 3 different CVEs. The most critical one is CV 2021-30351 with a CVSS score of 9.8. That affects Qualcomm. It's an out-of-bound memory access due to improper validation of number of frames being passed during music playback. Think about this. You're pulling stuff out of GitHub, that hasn't been updated in 11 years. Wow, our software supply chain is broken. Broken, folks. Broken. Few things to remediate that one, by the way, before I move to the next story you're seeing on your screen. One, disable audio. If you're using an Android device for work, go get an iOS. Really, at this point, if you're using Android for anything work related, you're setting yourself up for it, because one bad app download, one bad vulnerability, and it's all done. Organizations are being warned of attacks exploiting a recently patched Windows vulnerability. CISO is tracking CV 2022-22718, which was one of the 4 print spooler issues that was addressed at the time. According to Microsoft, CV 2022-22718 can be exploited by a local attacker to escalate privileges without the need for any user interaction. CISO on Tuesday added the vulnerability to its known exploited vulnerabilities catalog, which currently tracks nearly 650 exploited flaws. Federal agencies have been given until May 10th to address this security hole, but CISO advises all organizations to prioritize the patching of the vulnerability included in this catalog, referred to by some as the must-patch list. No real information has been shared by CISO about the attacks exploiting the vulnerability, and there's no public reports describing the exploitation of the flaw, but you can tell that if CISO's talking about it, they're probably seeing something or hearing chatter about it in somewhere, and they're asking people to patch. So if you haven't done so, please make sure you get it done. REvil or REvil store sites have been coming alive to redirect to a new ransomware operation. Just when you thought they were done, well, it's all back. The new site is hosted on a different domain, but leads to the original one REvil used when active, according to Bleeping Computer. While the 2 researchers captured the redirect, the leak provides details on the conditions for affiliates who allegedly get an improved version of the REvil ransomware and an 80-20 split for affiliates collecting the ransom. The site lists 26 pages of victims, most of them from old REvil attacks, and just the last 2 appear to be related to the new operation, one of them being Oil India. Security researchers and malware hunter team in January, a couple of weeks after the 14th alleged members of the gang were arrested in Russia, said that starting mid-December last year, to notice activity from a different ransomware gang, ransom cartel that was related to REvil's encryptor, though no connection is alive. You can tell, right, you take some down, someone else within the operation pops up. You never get the whole operation, and then people take advantage of it as well. So a lot in this one right here, but REvil is likely coming back, and maybe not its original members, but a new set of members trying to take over this, as Russia now appears to be maybe letting loose on their letting their security folks start to go loose again globally, whereas in before the Ukraine war, that they were more playing well with the international community. FBI is also sharing information on the BlackCat ransomware attack. The FBI this week published IOCs associated with the BlackCat ransomware as a service. This was initially observed in November of 2021. It's also tracked as Alfiv or Nibarius. BlackCat is the first ransomware family to be ran in the Rust programming language. As of March of 2022, BlackCat has successfully compromised at least 60 organizations worldwide, the FBI says. The cybercriminals announced 9 new victims in April. That's as of April 21st, as of this morning, folks. Security researchers recently revealed an increased interest from BlackCat operators in targeting industrial organizations. Security researchers have also connected BlackCat with the cybercrime group behind the dark side Black Matter ransomware as well. BlackCat affiliates often demand ransom payments of millions of dollars, but they have been observed accepting lower payments after negotiating with their victims. So, as part of observed BlackCat attacks, PowerShell scripts, Cobalt Strike beacons, and legitimate Windows tools and sys internals utilities have been used. The attackers were also seen disabling security features to move unhindered within the victim's network. Now we're going to move on to Russia. 2 different stories here around Russia, and we're going to get to those. The Five Eyes, that's the UK, US, Canada, New Zealand, and Australia, are now warning that of possible Russian cyber attacks against critical infrastructure. And here's where this goes. The Five Eyes released a joint cybersecurity advisor warning of increased malicious attacks from Russian state sponsors, actors, and criminal groups targeting critical infrastructure organization amidst the ongoing military siege in the Ukraine. This is evolving intelligence indicates that the Russian government is exploring options for potential cyber attacks. Russia's invasions of the Ukraine could expose organizations both within and beyond the region to increased malicious cyber activity. The advisory follows another alert from the U.S. government cautioning of nation-state actors deploying specialized malware to maintain access to ICS and supervisory control and data acquisition SCADA devices. Over the past 2 months since the invasion commenced, Ukraine has been subject to a blitzkrieg of targeted campaigns, ranging from DDoS to the deployment of destructive malware aimed at governmental and infrastructure entities. Wednesday's alert noted that Russian state-sponsored cyber actors have the ability to compromise IT networks, maintain long-term persistence, steal sensitive data while remaining hidden, and disrupt and sabotage industrial control systems. Also joining the mix are cybercriminals groups like Conti, who publicly pledged support for the Russian government, and many others. So what does that really mean? We'll see. Will Russia start cyber attacking other nations? It would be the Japanese mistake in World War II, right? Like bombing Pearl Harbor. U.S. was on the sideline up until you bombed Pearl Harbor, and then you brought the U.S. into the war. So could a massive cyber attack be spring for military action and U.S. involvement in the Ukraine? It would appear so, but does Russia really want that? That is a miscalculation, I think, on the side of Vladimir Putin. It could be a last-ditch effort, maybe, but if it's a last-ditch effort, it's a really, really bad one. I don't see it really happening, but the notice is there nonetheless. The U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation warned the food and agriculture sector organizations of an increased risk that ransomware gangs may be more likely to attack them during harvest and planting seasons. While ransomware groups regularly target the U.S. agriculture sector, the FBI noted that the number of attacks against such entities during such critical season does stand out. The FBI revealed in a joint flash alert released on Wednesday in coordination with the USDA and CISO that they are seeing ransomware attacks targeting agricultural cooperative during key seasons could lead to operational disruption, financial loss, and a negative impact on the U.S. and global food supply chain, something we know a lot about at this time as we're seeing shortages in a lot of food areas. This could be the straw that breaks the camel's back. There's a whole list of attacks against agricultural organizations, and agricultural organizations definitely need all the support they can get. Food supply is just as critical as our electricity and internet, and some may argue even more. Folks, that's it for our show today. We'll be back with a lot more tomorrow. I'll be doing a special episode live talking about some of the things I saw in Israel. One in visiting the cyber Silicon Valley. 3 great buildings in Israel, one right next to the other. And some of these buildings, some of the biggest names in cyber, were in just this one building with, it was fascinating. I was hanging out there and just even within the coffee shop, just going to grab a cup of coffee, hearing, these different vendors talk in line, and just fascinating. A lot of fun. Met with some really cool companies as well. But additionally, a lot of that is very, very, excuse me there. So a lot of that is very, very interesting, folks. So make sure to check that out. Apologize for that call coming in there. I thought I had that silenced. Folks, we'll be back with a lot more, like I said, tomorrow, talking about that, and also talking about how do you build cyber talent. Israel's found a formula, very interesting one. The ad's in Hebrew, so I'll try to play it and explain it tomorrow. But something very, very I thought was refreshing to see. So till then, have a great rest of your day and stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.